What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Formula America podcast. We're your hosts, Kurt and Dylan, and we are finally back with some Formula One action. It is race week. We got tired of seeing all the posts from all the drivers and their lavish vacations. Some of them are at the Olympics. Lewis Hamilton's off in Africa, and finally, everybody's coming back together to see some cars on track, and I cannot wait.
It would be pretty fun, I imagine, going through Africa with Lewis Hamilton when you're worth a couple $100 million. I bet you're doing it in style. You're roughing it, right? Like it is, you're going through the Sahara and Morocco and stuff, but you're probably in like a 6-wheel drive AMG Mercedes, truck or something. I would totally tag along for that trip.
There's some places I probably wouldn't want to go, but if I'm with Lewis Hamilton, I'd feel pretty safe.
Yeah, I think he's probably doing all right. But dude, I'm so excited. We were just talking about it before the podcast. It's the season starting all over again. I'm so excited.
It is, yeah. Like I was like giddy with excitement right now. I can't wait. And the best part is, this is honestly probably my probably top 4 favorite tracks. I think I love this track. I love the undulation. There's not many like super long straightaways. It's just a cool track, and for me, I would love to go to see this track.
It's an old school track. I mean, last year was rank pandemonium, and I was reading up on some of like the stats and trivia. So they've had 33 Dutch Grand Prix. Every one of them has been at this track all the way back starting in 1952. Jim Clark has the most amount of wins at this track. Like it is a old school OG Silverstone Suzuka like track. And it's kind of a crazy track. Last year, Fernando Alonso was just eating it alive. It was so fun to watch. I'm excited for this weekend.
You've always got changing conditions. It's the way it's located. It's not far from the sand or from the beach. So you've got
a sand dune and a street, and then there's the beach.
Yeah. And so the sand's always getting blown on it. And the track was built on the sand dunes, which is why it has so much elevation. I'm looking at the track map now. There's one straightaway.
Yeah.
One and maybe a half of a straightaway.
You know what I read that blew my mind? So it's a twisty track, but they only technically say there's 14 corners. There's only 4 left-hand corners. There's 10 right-hand corners. Ooh. Which it doesn't really look like that until you see it. You're like, oh yeah, that is actually kind of right. Like,
yeah. And my favorite one is that Tarzan corner, which is what I think it says 18 degrees of banking, which is more than Indianapolis.
Turn 3 has 19 degrees. Turn 14 has 18 degrees, which are both more than Indianapolis.
It's great. It's like a roller coaster. It really is.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, like reading Pirelli's like report on this, it was like tire deg is a huge issue here, but it also might not be, because Yuki Tsunoda took soft tires for 50 laps last time. And it's like, it's so all over the place. Last year set a record with 82 pit stops.
My God.
The year, all 5 tire compounds were used last year, from full wets to softs. The year before that, the 2-stopper was projected to be the fastest. The top 5 teams all did 3-stoppers. Last year, with the changing rain conditions, it was everywhere. So it's like you have the potential of a 1, 2, or 3-stopper at this race. 3-stopper's been fast in the past, but if you look at the numbers, a 1 or 2-stopper is theoretically the fastest. And a lot of that, depends on the tire temperature, the ambient temperature, the sand blowing onto the track. It's like, the strategists have got to just be like, this has got to be a strategist nightmare.
I don't know, man. I was listening to Ruth Buscombe. I forget which race she was commentating on, and they asked her about that. And she said that as a strategist, they're salivating over tracks like this, because that's when they really get to do their job and flex their muscles. I'm sure it's stressful, but this is when they're really going to shine. And that's the one I love. I love it, or I hate it when it's just like, oh, it's a one-stop race and it's just basically a procession.
It's Bahrain.
I love it when it's like, right. I love it when you have like, this guy's on a 2-stopper, this guy's on a 3. Now George Russell's like, can I do another 1-stopper? And just like, what's going to happen? Now we've got Ferraris coming out with their upgrades.
Big upgrade package.
They've said they're upgrading their floor and their rear suspension or something like that to make, to increase the rear stability.
Yep.
So man, it's gonna be anybody's race. Like you said, it's like a new season. It's like it's starting over right now, and I'm so pumped.
And I mean, like, so everything's come out, all the speculation, nothing for sure on the Red Bull biased T valve for unbiased braking. That's gone away. That's why Red Bull's not doing so well. McLaren and Mercedes, I would think, are the top contenders to perform well at this track, but Ferrari's a total unknown with, you know, if these upgrades add a 10th to race pace, they're all of a sudden in the mix. Like,
yeah.
It's anyone's game. It's Max Verstappen's home race that he has never lost. And if he wins this one, he ties Jim Clark for the most wins in the Netherlands. So he's going to be salivating to crush it. I mean, there's so much to this.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually glad you brought up that asymmetrical braking thing, because I was just actually got a report up here that motorsport.com just put out. And so I think it's pretty interesting. If you don't know what happened over the summer break, the FIA tightened up a regulation. They basically added into a part of their braking system regulation. They added some text saying that any system or mechanism which can produce systematically or intentionally asymmetric braking torques for a given axle is forbidden. Basically saying that you can't have the right wheel braking differently than the left wheel, in simple terms. But so motorsport.com just came out because a lot of the speculation was that a team was busted doing that, which is why they changed it. And one of the FIA officials came out and said that actually wasn't the case. They were just preparing for the 2026 regulations. And if a team was caught doing that, since it is already legal, they're just tightening it up. If a team was caught, there would have been more harsher penalties other than just tightening up the regs. So they're saying that nobody was caught doing it. They just wanted to get ahead of the curve. But I mean, it's kind of, I mean, we see what happened with Red Bull.
Yeah.
They had braking issues. They kind of went down.
Understeer issues. Like,
I guess it depends on how much of a tinfoil hat you want to put on.
Yeah. And I mean, at this point, whether that's the issue or not, we've got 4 constructors that could win this race.
Yeah.
It's really anyone's ball game. So yeah, a couple of the other notes that I got down here. So you talking about the high bank angles, it creates the highest lateral forces on the tires from all of the tracks because they're able to corner so much faster, most amount of load. I don't think I said we're on the hardest range of tires, C1 through C3, which is all that's ever been raced here because of those lateral loads. It's crazy.
So speaking on those corners, that's one thing that I really love because we got to see, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but Fernando Alonso was one of the guys taking kind of an alternate line through. He'd go like a lot higher and then kind of like dive right down in the turn. And I love that they have the ability to take different lines like that. And those banked corners, man, I love the banked corners.
And you have to, because there's no straightaways to use DRS to get them. I mean, technically there is, but there's one DRS, 2 DRS zones, but doing moves like that around turn 3 or how you pass on this track.
Yeah. So this is going to be kind of a nightmare for our predictions, but I'm pretty excited.
I think for once we're not going to have the same predictions.
Okay. I'm excited to see them.
I also don't think you're going to like my predictions, which kind of makes me happy.
Okay. I just realized I didn't put down a pole position, so I have to do that real quick. All right. Well, why don't you go ahead and start off? On
pole, I have Charles Leclerc.
Wow. Oh, he was just in my head. I was thinking about putting Charles Leclerc, so I won't put Charles Leclerc. That's actually pretty exciting. I would like to see it. I think that a return to form is long overdue for Charles Leclerc, and I'm hoping these upgrades work out for them.
I do too. I want to see that beautiful Ferrari back out on front. I've always been favoring the Red Bull looks, but I don't know what it is about this year's Ferrari. I'm like, God, dog, that car's sexy.
You know what? I'm going to do one on the fly. I'm going to one-up you, and I'm going to put Carlos Sainz on.
Ooh, I did not think. I thought for sure you were going to have Norris on top on that pole.
Oh, man. Nope, I'm doing Carlos Sainz.
All right. Who do you have on P3?
P3, I've got the Aussie coming back from his broke rib, Oscar Piastri.
I like it. I have Charles Leclerc in P3.
Okay.
We're going to have a Ferrari on that podium, maybe 2.
All right. P2, I am going to go with a rested and rejuvenated Sir Lewis Hamilton.
God dog it. I've got Hamilton there too.
All right, P1. I'm going with my boy Lando.
I think Max is going to take his 4th home victory. I think that McLaren has got probably the fastest car for this, but they're going to botch the strategy like they always do, and Max is going to take his home race.
There's probably going to be a lot of pit stop opportunities to botch that strategy.
Yeah.
So, you know what's funny is yesterday when I was thinking about this, I actually was like feeling Max on pole and a Max win, and I kind of thought you would do Max, but I mean, I'm glad you picked Charles Leclerc on pole.
I had to change it up. It's a new season. It's a new me.
Oh,
still
okay.
Winning the predictions by a mile, but you know,
I know you're like Max Verstappen last year. You've got a little bit of like leeway. You could coast a little bit. Me, I got to swing for the fences every time.
All right, what do you have on wild card?
My wild card is we are going to see McLaren team orders. Piastri is going to have to give up a spot and let Lando by.
Ooh, that's a hell of a wild card. Good grief. I've got that there's going to be a McLaren DNF.
Oh, well, you've got, you had Norris on the podium, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't have Norris. Okay.
No, I've got Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hope it's not Lando.
But I'm excited to be different on these, but I do think the McLaren's probably the fastest car. I think the McLaren and the Mercedes, as it sits, are probably the fastest cars out there. But
yep. Now they just got to race like it.
Yeah,
the team exactly as a whole. But yeah, so I'm definitely excited to see the Mercedes. I agree with you. I think they're going to be fast. I don't know. I feel like I don't know because I don't have Max anywhere on my podium. I feel like he'll probably do pretty well, but I kind of don't want him to be on the podium.
You know, if this was 5 races ago, I'd be like, you're insane. But I mean, he's been off the podium on quite a few of the last races. It's totally possible for him to qualify P5, finish P4, and
it's hard to predict the Red Bulls right now.
Yeah,
it's some
it's
tracks,
hard to predict. You know, Max. I can make a prediction for Checo.
Okay, where's Checo going to finish?
Not in the top 3.
Yeah, that's another one too. How is Checo going to be? Is he going to be, is he able to recover a little bit mentally? Is he going to come back, or is he going to have a return to his poor form?
I mean, he finished the race last year in P3 with a penalty, which dropped him behind Pierre Gasly and let Gasly up on the podium. But like, he had some pretty damn good form here last year, so it's definitely possible. But he's got to get out of his head.
He does. All right, man. I'm excited for this one. So it's a standard weekend, no sprint race, nothing like that. And when is the next sprint race, actually?
Oh, no, that's a good question.
I think there's probably 3 more sprint races?
Is Austin this year?
I think
Austin is the next one.
In Brazil. Cool.
All right.
Well, we will be back probably a day late because I have other obligations next week, but we will be back to discuss everything that happens. So stay tuned for that. And if you like this podcast, make sure you leave us a rating and a review and share it with a friend if you can. Check out our YouTube, Formula America on YouTube. And other than that, I think that might be it. Dylan, you got anything else?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, on that note,
stay classy, America.
We'll see you next time.